Masquera say Mure Zimbabwe, welcome to our channel Zim Confessions and Deep Secrets. Kana karike kutanka kukuya paneno channel. Please don't forget to subscribe. Kana uchungua gara uka subscribe. Don't forget to comment and share this video. That's Mure Zimbabwe itakugirai nyaya yaburitswa na vasevya kasukwere avabuda vachiataka statement yakaburitswa na President Emerson Mnangagwa on the political crisis iri kuitika kunyika ya Mozambique. Vakasukwere vakabuda vachitaura ivo vachiti statement ravo Mnangagwa rokona kuti add more fuel to the situation pane kuisolva muri Zimbabwe. Nyaya yanetsa, nyaya iri kupisa muri Zimbabwe zvinzi hazvina kumira mushe. Funga va Mnangagwa vakange vaposta a statement on his official X handle vachitaura ivo vachiti the Southern African Development Community iri kuwanikwa ichiacknowledge the ruling yakaitwa Monday 23 December by the Constitutional Council of the election results yakaitwa ku Mozambique musi 9 October. Nyaya iyi yaburitswa neZW News vachitaura ivo vachiti the disqualified 2023 presidential candidate and former ZANU-PF National Political Commissar Xavier Kasukwere has rubbished President Emerson Mnangagwa's statement on the ongoing political crisis in Mozambique. Kasukwere says Mnangagwa's statement has potential to add more fuel to the situation than solving it. Unfortunately, a very inflammatory statement, no tact, just outright ignorance. A volatile situation requires a measure of diplomacy and still achieve your objectives, he said. Kasukwere was reacting to the following statement by President Mnangagwa posted on the X handle of presidential spokesperson George Charamba, Tonzamsoro 007. Statement by the chairman of SADC, Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, on election results in the Republic of Mozambique. The Southern African Development Community SADC notes and acknowledges the ruling and confirmation on Monday 23rd of December 2024 by the Constitutional Council of election results held in the Republic of Mozambique on the 9th of October this year. The ruling by that country's top electoral court, which upheld Frelimo party's victory, completes and thus exhausts all lawful processes on determining election results in line with that country's national laws and in keeping with SADC's election guidelines and expectations. SADC thus expects all parties to the electoral processes, both individually and collectively, to abide by the decision to the Council, which should provide a constitutional way forward for the country and facilitate the way to greater peace, normalcy, and stability in the interest of all Mozambicans. The SADC stands ready to assist the incoming government and people of Mozambique in consolidating their electoral democracy on the basis of the aforesaid court decision, which should be held sacrosanct by all. Indeed, this is what the rule of law is all about. Further, SADC urges the international community to respect the sovereign will of the people in the Republic of Mozambique, exhorting all concerned to constructively support all processes towards peace, law and order, which the country and the people sorely need and deserve. Our region witnessed a record number of national elections in the past 2 years. In the past 2 years itself, a loud testimony that democracy continues to find deeper roots and to flourish in our SADC region. The statement rakabuditswa muri Zimbabwe na President Emerson Mnangagwa vachikomenta on the issue of elections of Mozambique. Iyo yabuda ichiblastwa na Vakasukwere vachitaura ivo vachiti this statement rinogona kutowedzera rinogona kutofuela the situation, rinogona kuwedzera moto muri Zimbabwe kutaura kwatiri kuita zvinoomera mushe munyika yeMozambique. Vanhu vari kufa uyezve maprotests are still ongoing mushure mekunge pakabuditswa statement yekuti vajani vaDaniel Chapo is the president elect. Havasi kumira vari kuMozambique vari kupisa mastreets muri Zimbabwe. Tikaziva kuti muona sei nyaya iyi tuziva muri kufunga pamusoro penyaya iyi mucomment section.
Yeah, it's a very difficult task, and the irony is that, as you have just pointed out in your background, the irony is that SADC, when it observed Zimbabwe's elections in August last year, the SADC Troika of the Organ on Politics, Defense and Security, which was then chaired by Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema, they found out the Zimbabwean election was not conducted, to use that diplomatic language, which of course I would then qualify. It was not conducted in terms of the Zimbabwean constitution and in terms of the SADC guidelines governing the conduct of democratic elections in the region. In short, they were basically saying those elections were fraudulent and rigged. That report led to a series of events thereafter. There was an extraordinary meeting of the Council of Ministers meeting in Lusaka after that report by SADC. And then thereafter, there was an extraordinary meeting that was held in Luanda to discuss that issue. SADC never withdrew that report. And then, of course, Zimbabwe tried to use its opportunity to take over SADC in August, as President Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe became the chairman right now, which is why the extraordinary meeting is happening in Harare now. He tried to make sure that the report was withdrawn, it was revised, but that did not happen. What then SADC did was that they just said, okay, let's say all the elections that were held prior to the SADC meeting that was held in mid-August in Harare, they were peaceful elections. They did not go into the detail, which basically means that as we sit here, SADC has not withdrawn its report that the Zimbabwean election was not conducted in a manner that was consistent with the constitution of the country and the rules of SADC itself, basically meaning it was a fraudulent election. So there we're sitting here now. Mnangagwa is now the chairman of SADC. He has called an extraordinary summit primarily because of Mozambique. Because remember, there is the issue in the background of liberation movements that are on the decline, they are on the retreat, they're being defeated across the region. We've just seen in Botswana a landslide by the Umbrella for Democratic Change, led by now the new president, Duma Boko, defeating the Botswana Democratic Party, which was 58 years in power, and of course, under former President Mokgweetsi Masisi. Now, prior to that, there was the South African situation where the ANC catastrophically declined 57 to 40%. Prior to that, there have been many other changes in the region, with the opposition parties on the rise, liberation movements on the retreat. And of course, now, one of the reasons why there is Namibia in the background in this meeting being held today here in Zimbabwe is because there is fear among liberation movements, their own organization, Liberation Movements of Southern Africa, that another liberation movement might actually fall next month in Namibia. That is Chapo. Chapo is a new candidate there. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa. She's a first timer. She's coming in there against an opposition leader who is on the rise rather. Panduleni Itula is on the rise. So there is genuine fear that there might be a Botswana kind of situation in Namibia come next month. So those are some of the underlying currents of the meeting in Harare. But the most immediate one, as you were pointing out earlier, is Mozambique, because the situation is becoming increasingly ungovernable. Although the new leader there, Daniel Chapo, won by a huge margin, 71% to 20% for Valencia Mondlane. The problem is that Mondlane is quite a lot of influence on the social base and has made the country very difficult to govern. And that political and the security situation in Mozambique is beginning to affect the region, which is the logic behind the extraordinary meeting. For instance, the border town between South Africa and Mozambique, the Lebombo border post, for some weeks now, there was no business. Business was disrupted fundamentally, quite a lot.